wee woo, capitalism personified in the shape of some hippie, cool, free-spirited human, but they're actually just selling you VIP tickets, generic merch, strikes again. Shanin Blake and her absolute profiteering off subcultures is actually commendable. I'm all here for it at this point. If people are still happily going along with all of this, when it's so clear this is an I, me, I do great, you subscribe to it, I continue doing great, I actually give nothing back to the subculture, type beat, and people still want to go along with it, fair enough. I'm at this point, you kind of just have to be like, wow, okay, cool, I guess. Golly gosh, do we have a funny, exciting conversation ahead of us today. But before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Cowder's Life, and on this channel, we do video essays talking about things we see on the internet, and then we will discuss it as a community down in the comments section below. So if that sounds like fun for you, please feel free to subscribe. We're trying to beat this here old ratio. We can do it. Words of empowerment. Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo. Yeah, and if you're not new to this channel, hello again, partner. Great to see you in this saloon. The Beyblade we'll be talking about later is this one right here. But first, let's discuss the phenomenon that is Shanin Blake. Shanin has carved out such a loyal following online, but recently I see people discussing her again as she is choosing to more obviously monetize her platform with little moral or ethical thought. You know, with things like her approach of selling spiritual products have raised some serious moral concerns. Those questions rightfully so being, is Shanin Blake a true role model for the spiritual community? Or is she just another person that's going to profit off a subculture, sell the most generic merch in the world, and kind of just be completely disconnected from her spiritual aesthetic and vibe that she originally presented to the world? By positioning herself as this sort of like spiritual, free-spirited figure with a deep connection to the alternative and new age beliefs. She's an alien. She literally believes she's an alien sent here to save the day. Why is it they never just are normal aliens that are just here to, like, I don't know, have a good time and get a normal job? It's always a, I'm here to help and change the world. Really? This just seems like the plot of some sort of like Disney movie. Not a good one, I must say. Some sort of like AI script wrote one. Ugh. Her content literally focuses on being a Palladian. Themes of ascension and hyper self of sense awareness and connected to the whole world. And along with this, she also presents herself with this very commercialized capitalistic concept of being a hippie. Funny that, isn't it? You can say all the things you want about trying to be free-spirited, but you look the part of Creepy Old Man Incorporated's idea of being a hippie. This just screams, I'm going to sell you overpriced coffee. And that's coming from a person that also looks like they're gonna sell you overpriced coffee. Maybe me and Shanin will just open up a coffee shop together when our jobs as being people on the internet fails. But for reals though, Shanin's approach to like all things social media and how she presents herself really resonated with like this younger crowd on, you know, apps like TikTok, who are very much drawn to her aesthetic and the concept of like this luxurious but also alternative lifestyle. But it's packaged as being relatable and quirky and down to earth, guys. Don't forget that it's relatable. We can all do it too. Even today, Shanin posted on Instagram that we can all do this. We can all be like her. No, you're an anomaly. You're an incredibly hyper lucky person to achieve this level of success. This is not normality. But the reason why I think it works so well is like her aesthetic and spiritual messaging offers these young souls, these young people, or just people in general, this sense of identity, belonging, and purpose. The three things we all kinda want, right? Something many may search for in online communities. If you do not fit in with the conventional things, it is very normal to go alternative routes. And one of those routes is a signpost leading straight to Shanin Blake. I've honestly got like two options in life. You don't. This is just me being silly, but researching for this video again made me realize that Shanin Blake is just the alternative equivalent to those like pseudo hyper masculine male guides being like, you want to be a man, you want to take ownership of your life, you want to make a good business and make lots of money and get all the women to want you. This is just the alternative answer to that. Claim you're an alien, say you're about being entwined and aware of the earth, but all your lyrics actually just being about me, I get rich, my fans are silly enough to buy my VIP meet and greets, yoo-hoo, I'm profiting off them, and making it packaged in the sweet and friendly way whilst giving nothing back. Shanin is the equivalent of those alpha bros, just with locks. Yay. Shanin Blake is the watered down, commercialized, accessible, on a superficial level, very digestible version of spirituality, with a modern twist, and that modern twist being completely social media-ified. Her impact on what like people like face value now perceive as hippie culture on TikTok is undeniable. She has become this like real influential figure for alt-life people that are trying to like free themselves and be different from the crowd. This personal freedom she talks about so much, rejection of traditional social norms, all good things, right? You're like, oh, that's good. But if you kind of just look past it, past the glitz and glamour, past the smoke and mirrors, she doesn't really live an alternate lifestyle at all. This is just capitalism playing out and profiting. It's funny because when you actually type in like actual people that like live off grid and stuff, because you know Shanin talks about one day she's gonna go live on a farm or whatever with her partner and have chickens. I'm pretty sure she literally said something like that in a song. But prior to that team, she must rack up millions and millions in net worth and rap about how awesome she is and how she can pay for things and how she can do whatever she wants. Yeah, that's so rejecting social norms there. That's actually just joining the Matrix yourself. Anyways, but if you like look up actual alternate living people on TikTok, they always look like this. They always just look like those regular people that live off grid. You know why? Because they're just getting on with their lives and doing it. They're not trying to profit off it and sell you some nonsense crap. It's just like what Shanin is doing. I'm laughing because it's so blatant and so obvious. I'm just like, what can you say? Like, there's clearly a market for this. It's like just commercialized, easy, accessible outlook that people want. Fair play, I guess. But I feel like to counter that, if you actually want me to be serious, it is vaguely annoying and problematic because, like I said, a big part of her audience is, you know, younger people. Younger people are often still finding themselves. They're still forming their belief structures and like how they want to present and what they want to go do in the world. Shanin's spiritual teachings can seem very appealing, and, you know, younger minds may just regurgitate what Shanin is saying or doing without really realizing the totality of her words. This sense of mystery and higher power and higher being could really take in a young soul or just a vulnerable person, right? Because it's all in the promise of your spiritual awakening. And that spiritual awakening, if you are a fan of Shanin Blake, is buying a VIP meet and greet and then buying the most generic merch in the world. Oh boy. However, let's just move on from that cow. Let it go, buddy. However, while Shanin Blake's impact on the TikTok hippie community and just like the spiritual community in general is undeniable, literally like a poster person for it now, her recent decisions to really obviously monetize her platform, particularly her merch, have thankfully left many wondering how much of her spiritual messaging is actually authentic. Talking point 2, Commodifying Spirituality, the ethical dilemma. Recently, Shanin has ventured into the world of selling merchandise, specifically items like hoodies, joggers, t-shirts, with phrases on like existential bliss. What does that mean? No, literally, what does that mean? This is like when people smash words together, and this is not me trying to be like closed-minded. What does that mean? Existential. So bigger, bliss, so like peace. So we're just saying peace. But cool, I like saying words too, I guess. And you might be like, Cal, why are you being a massive boo, party pooper boo? You're just hating on someone selling generic merch. Everybody does it. Yeah, I agree. This is like your typical influencer move, unfortunately. Selling like print-on-demand type product just branded specifically towards her audience. But the issue I have with this, right, is like, there's such a stark disconnect and difference between the aesthetic Shanin clearly likes and tries to present as part of her being, how she presents herself to the world, this type of aesthetic, and then there's like the stuff she clearly thought, yeah, let's just whack that on a hoodie and joggers and t-shirt and sell that to my silly fans that also believe in this silly pseudo spirituality where I profit all of this, get really rich, and then retire to my mega mansion in the hills. Wee woo, we stay winning, capitalism. Yoo-hoo. Like, come on. I feel like I'm gonna end up having to give like a marketing lesson here. Oh, I'm actually gonna use my marketing degree for good use here. Zoo-wee mama. Shanin has really clearly built her image off her, you know, hippie, aesthetic. No problem with that, partner. That's your vibe. Do your thing. That flowy, peaceful, earthy nature. Clothing, if you sat down and put people in a focus group, you'd be like, oh yeah, that person's free-spirited. They're cool. I bet they love an alternative lifestyle. However, you cannot deny that this merch just is, mass-produced. They've probably got some junior graphic designer to mash this all up in an afternoon. This would feel more at home in a fast fashion shop than in a spiritual marketplace. And by spiritual marketplace, I don't mean a marketplace you have to access via your third mind. I just mean someone that presents as this spiritual awakening type character, for real, no cap, on the internet. You would have thought the clothes would resonate with that too, right? Surely. Come on. To me, this just feels super duper real jarring. Let me read a product description. Elevate your wardrobe with a touch of cosmic wonder in the existential bliss crop tee, exclusively designed by Shanin Blake. My mistake, it wasn't a junior graphic design person apparently. This just isn't some tee. It's a wearable piece of art that merges comfort with a deep sense of philosophical charm. I suck at reading, sorry. Crafted with love and meticulous attention to detail. This crop tee features a unique custom green tie-dye that radiates tranquility and introspection. Each piece is hand-dried, ensuring that no two tees are alike. The rich, swirling greens invoke a sense of serenity and connection to the universe. Do they? Making it more than just clothing, it's an experience. That's a lot of words to tell me you're just selling me a mass-produced t-shirt with graphic design on. And there's no mention of it being a sustainable product, so can we just assume it's not? Yeah, that's not a good look. Oh boy, is there anywhere on this website that says about sustainability? No. Okie dokie. Let's just give her the benefit of the doubt and just assume it is a sustainable product, right? You would have thought this free-spirited, definitely not just doing it for money, but this free-spirited, hippie cool character that loves nature and loves the world would definitely make completely sustainable clothing, right? You would hope. But the price would suggest not. I feel like this is just a lot of words to try and make you feel that this is more than just a t-shirt, but this is just more than just a t-shirt. And I know some of you might be thinking, hey Cal, didn't you release a hoodie once upon a time? Yes I did, and that was a labor of love. The materials, everything about that product was ethically sourced and made, and you know how stressful it was trying to do that? Even every time we sent something, we made sure it was all offsetted and the profits were donated to the right causes. Basically, it just meant we made no money on the hoodies. And we didn't really sell that many anyway because they're expensive to make, so it's a big expensive thing. But I'm going to go out on a guess and say this probably isn't a sustainable practice. This is a cash grab. But hey, honestly, at this point, if people just want to buy into the gig, go crazy. Who am I to stop your happiness? All I can do is just point out that it's surface deep happiness. But hey, honestly, if that works, I don't know. I have no issues with that, truthfully. Yeah, game's a game. But for realsies, if I am going to critique someone's, merch, I should also give them advice. And here's what I would suggest as what could have been your missed opportunity, your chance to really do something here, to shut critics up like me. I'd have been like, hold up, look at what Shannon's doing, that's cool as heck. Shanin really should have aligned her brand with her products. Instead of this generic print-on-demand type merch, she could have chosen to sell more authentic products that actually match her brand. Think eco-friendly, handmade clothing or accessories that would actually reflect her hippie aesthetic. Partnering with small creators, maybe ones you could find on Etsy, to make small batches of things that you could sell to your audience, and though it may be a little more expensive, you would think an audience that are all into spirituality and being aware of the world would happily pay more for a good if they knew everything about it was sustainable and ethical and good for the planet, right? You would think. Or do these people that think they're cosmic aliens sent down from Earth to help and heal the world need to do it in fast fashion practices? I don't know. We must fill up the world with landfills of broken clothing, but at the same time save it with our cosmic thoughts. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just find this conversation so silly, goofy, haha, because I think it's so obvious that this is just one big marketing gimmick. This is Hollywood, and we're all buying into it. Yippee! For someone that looks like they go hand in hand with sustainability and good living. Her choice to sell this type of product, impersonal product, I feel just doesn't really align with her message. And I feel with that, this venture into this like generic merchandising line, becoming like another generic artist type beat for real, raises a real much larger question. If Shanin isn't really living out the values she promotes through her brand, is she truly a role model for the spiritual community? Shanin Blake genuinely presents herself as a spiritual leader, and this is not me hyperbolizing. Truly listen to her lyrics. According to her, she is a self-proclaimed person that can offer guidance and insight into complex spiritual topics like ascension and cosmic consciousness. And within that, the nature of reality. But what does it genuinely mean to be like this spiritual leader on an app like TikTok? Is she this person truly entwined with the cosmos, trying to help us all out, trying to save our souls? Or is she just trying to capitalize on the incredibly popular trend of spirituality in the modern world or personal gain? I love fantasy. I think it's very fun to, read fantasy stories and think, that's cool. Like, I'm all about that. Your boy Cal, he be reading books about fantasy. He be doing it. I'm doing a Shanin here. I'm just saying things around the subject without actually giving any detail. But that's me. I be doing it. Yeah. No, for real though, I do love fantasy. I've said it so many times in my videos. Sometimes I'm a 6 billion year old wizard with my friends and I cast Firebolt at them as I chase them through the woods. I'm wearing a big bushy beard, but it's fun, it's fantasy. But at no point in my day-to-day life, broadly speaking, do I think I'm actually a 6 billion year old wizard. I'm not Gandalf. I'm more like one of his little hobbit followers. No, that's a joke. I'm actually 6 foot. Where am I going with this? I just feel she's selling fantasy as something of real validity to people, and I think that's really dangerous and takes advantage of them, especially when you're knocking it out the park with capitalism, selling them crap. And if that all else fails, she says, take some illegal substances and talk to trees. I don't know. That's just the Shanin Blake method. It's tried and tested and it works. I think there's a real genuine fine line between being a real spiritual guide and being an influencer who commodifies spirituality. And if she is using spirituality as a way to build her brand, right, how much of her message is truly about helping her followers? And how much of it is just about maintaining her image for, ultimately profit? And I do want to say, I'm just kind of lifetime thinking about this in my head as it's such an interesting conversation. I'm not clowning on spirituality at all. I think it's a really useful tool that I've even explored myself in an effort to, kind of understand why I am here. Imagine me like, who am I? What am I? Or I splash a puddle, I don't know, like kind of like that scene in Zoolander. But like, spirituality is a great tool for us to explore our minds and get to know ourselves better, and kind of just get to feel for what our purpose is on this planet. As in my interpretation of existing, I think this is an open world sandbox game. There is no core storyline or campaign. We can freely choose what we want to do. So within that, spirituality can be a really useful tool to help you find out what quest line you want to go down in life. Super cool, super awesome, super fulfilling. So many of my team are into it, all for it. However, this is genuinely problematic. A growing critique for a lot of these spirituality influencers is that they really do just offer surface level spirituality. It always looks so appealing. It's always so well packaged. It looks fun. And just for a small fee of $35, you get existential bliss. Who doesn't want that? But beneath that, it really does just lack any sort of depth. For Shanin, her real focus on like this cosmic energy and ascension is really intriguing to an outsider. And when I first ever studied her or looked into her stuff, I was really interested by this too, because I was like, hey, this sounds cool. But then after like thinking about it and living in the world of fantasy for, I don't know, like 30 minutes, much like I do when I'm a 6 billion year old wizard, I kind of thought to myself, well, is any of this truly transformative? No, of course not. It's simply a way for someone to TikTokify spirituality, make it their aesthetic, and create something appealing that others will buy into who are humans and souls that are genuinely searching for something of a higher purpose. Vulnerable souls that are actually searching for their questline in this open sandbox game are being led astray by this NPC called Shanin Blake, who will promise you quest lines and greater campaign and extra DLC, but you have to keep paying them and turning up at their shows and following them around like a disciple. And what do you get in return? Nothing apart from seeing your leader win. I don't want to play that quest line out. I want to be a 6 billion year old wizard. I feel throughout this like joking and silliness approach I'm kind of taking to this, because I perceive this as one big silly, I also have to do note there's like a real portion of vulnerable people here that may get led astray by Shannon's content. These followers, the vulnerable ones who are looking for a purpose, and they are still, internally within themselves exploring their own beliefs. They may genuinely see Shanin as a role model, and I know many do, but just look through Shannon's comment section, and if you click on the profiles commenting the things about Shanin and really complimenting her, it is young people. And like, my issue with that is, if they do look at Shanin as a genuine role model, this person that's got this like absolute anomaly life, very fortunate, very lucky, and that's not to discredit someone's hard work, but this just anomaly, and they're positioning it as they got it through their spiritual awakening, and their spiritual ascension led them to this position there in life. The issue is, I think Shanin is taking advantage of these types of fans, these real loyal ones that are going to pay for all the added extras that Shanin sells. She's taking advantage of their vulnerability without actually offering any sort of real, genuine spiritual insight. When spirituality becomes a product, something you're buying into, I feel it really does just risk losing all its actual meaning and merit, and just becomes this quirky thing that gets TikTokified. Boo hiss boo. But I feel if you're having this conversation of, like the ethics of commercializing and selling stuff within the spirituality universe, you have to mention that Shanin isn't alone in this venture. Her shift into the influencer space and monetizing this is part of a much larger movement of the spiritual influencers who are monetizing their belief structures. So like, how do we navigate the rise of these spiritual entrepreneurs? I feel like in recent years, we've seen many spiritual influencers. People who blend enlightenment with the strategies of a traditional social media influencer. And these influencers will sell you everything from life coaching to crystals to online workshops. And may I mention, these crystals won't be like any of the other regular crystals you can buy in a local crystal mall shop. These ones will be 10 times more expensive. Why? Because it's got their name attached to it and their cosmic energy. Just sell the crystals at the same price as everyone else. Yours aren't any more fancy. It annoys me when people take advantage of people's vulnerability. Like, it really winds me up. If you're gonna sell a certain type of crystal, awesome, sell it, but don't say yours is somehow more special than that one. If it's like the exact same crystal, the exact same carbon properties and what it's built from atom by atom. Ugh. Not swag, not cool, don't like it. And I feel weird about like showing any of these content creators because I just don't want to give them any more attention. I feel Shanin gets so much attention from all of this. I don't want to show any of these, spiritual profiteers, as I think it's just all very unethical and weird. Like, the level of self-importance and sheer awesomeness you must think you are to, think you are this enlightened human, whilst also just being like a complete example of capitalism in present day. That's just disappointing. The problem with this trend is it gets deeply personal. Often like sacred practices will get turned into like marketable things for us to consume on TikTok and buy into. When spirituality does become this business, there's always that risk that it loses its true meaning and its impact will be diluted in favor of making sales and getting someone rich. But don't worry, because they'll also sing about being awesome and how that's empowering and how that could be empowering for you too, but they're profiting off of all of this. For realsy, so Shanin Blake is a prime example of this. I can't dance around this. She just is. What may have started as spiritual guidance really has just descended completely into just a full-on traditional social media campaign for a generic influencer. Heresy. I just wanted to get the word heresy in there somehow. Been consuming a lot of Warhammer recently. I feel the warp overtaking. Anyway, back to the point. The commodification of spirituality is such a weird one for me, because many of these spiritual influencers, like Shanin, sell the idea of enlightenment as like this cutesy, packageable thing. Something you can buy and obtain as easily as just through getting their merch. And this to me, I don't know, it just feels exploitative. And maybe, you could be like, Cal, you're just deeping it too much. They're just putting out good vibes into the universe. I don't know. When you're saying things like this, I feel you are kind of trying to sell someone a actual belief structure here through a t-shirt. And though that may seem like trivial, I don't know. To me, that seems immoral. If it was just like another generic influencer, yeah, I don't care. You sell crap merch. So do like 99% of influencers. They just sell print on demand stuff like every couple of months. And it's like you can just tell some like random designers just made that for them, and then they're like, I spent ages making this. Okay, cool, whatever. If you want to buy it, buy it. But this, I feel when you're attaching actual like belief structures to it and like that emotiveness, feels weird to me. Don't like it. Doesn't sit right with me. I think it's because like for Shanon's audience, it's people that are like specifically into like genuinely searching for spiritual meaning. So in some ways, quite a vulnerable person in that state because you're searching for a purpose and they're being sold it as a t-shirt or a joggers or a hoodie. Ugh, don't like it. And I think if I was actually to be serious for a second, like for people who are, vulnerable, lonely, searching for a deeper meaning, these spiritual influencers like Shanin, to some, Shanin will be a beacon of genuine hope. But the problem is, many of these influencers of the spiritual nature don't actually offer anything transformative. Instead, they sell easy answers to complex questions, often at a hefty price, but a large profit margin for them. This whole situation just makes my brain want to melt and maybe like turn into a 6 billion year old wizard and cast Firebolt at some people. Yeah, not cool, not swag. People like Shanin, people with a platform, really do have to take ethical considerations into account, more so than just like a generic influencer, because you're dealing with people's actual belief structures, people's hopes and dreams, what they put their higher purpose in life to. This isn't just like a generic commentary channel or something, or just some random dancer on TikTok. This is a person that will actually shape your real belief structure. Therefore, I think she has a direct responsibility for considering the impact she may be having on her followers by selling surface level spirituality, generic merch, and all the other nonsense that goes along with this world of a Shanin Blake. Is she really helping her community? Like, genuinely, is she helping the spiritual world? Or is she just profiting off people's desire for meaning and purpose in their lives? I think if you're going to be a spiritual influencer, you really should be held accountable for the way you influence your audience, particularly when it comes to trivializing, monetizing, and talking about sacred practices. I think I'd now just like to offer a conclusion on this one because I'm really excited to have the comment section going for this topic and actually discuss it, because much like our previous video we did on Shanin, there was a lot of discussion and it was really interesting to hear from both parties, people that were pro Shanin and people that were, more on my side or more my view of, I think this is taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities. I think to me, it's undoubtable and it's undeniable to say that Shanin has had a real big impact and influence on, alternative subculture and like the hippie subculture on TikTok. She's a big name. She's a big player. Her name carries a lot of weight. It's impressive. It's A1 marketing. It really is. I feel if you are going to be a real big name in a subculture that does deal with, big questions in life, one's authenticity should be questioned when they conduct themselves in a very capitalistic manner. If you are going to be this spiritual guide to other people, which you are really quite suggesting in your song lyrics and the way you conduct yourself, a lot of her recent actions online also just paint her as a real generic content creator who just so happened to fall into the world of spirituality, aesthetic, and all of that goodness. How much of this is genuine and how much of it is brand driven is the question I think I'm presenting to you all. Are they genuinely trying to help their followers, or are they just preying on their vulnerabilities? I think this is a really interesting question to be presented to you all, and I'm really hoping as a community we can discuss this. If you are new here and you've clicked on this because you are a Shanin fan, I do want to stress there's never a pressure to agree with me. You can just completely express yourself in the comment section. I won't get like upset or angry. Obviously, if you call me rude words, actually I probably won't even see it. YouTube's really good at just blocking comments if you're rude in them. Like, that's not even on me. So if your comment doesn't get shown through on the comment section, it's probably because you said something inappropriate and YouTube's flagged it. But I'm always up for discussion. You don't always have to agree with me. It's absolutely fine. Let's have a discussion. This is a concept and conversation that I find fascinating. Oh, and holy smokes, before I forget, I've got another Beyblade to show my team. Hello, team. If you're new here and you've made it this far, I show Beyblades and all other cool things I collect in every single video. And today, we're hitting it with another variant on Seaborg. Boom, boom, boom. Nobody holding it down like Seaborg. I think I say that about all of the Beyblades, but I just want to make them all feel validated and good because they all deserve love because they're all quite old now. They can all legally drink in England, I'm pretty sure. So, what's up with that? But yeah, Seaborg. I have shown of Seaborg on this channel a fair few weeks ago, but I have another Seaborg. I don't know if I mentioned though, but Seaborg was the first Beyblade I ever got. And it wasn't this one, or I don't think it was the other one, but I had another one which had like a small red tip. I don't think it was the one I showed earlier, or it could have been, but I really liked Seaborg purely for that reason. The first Beyblade I ever got. And I remember my dad came home with one for me and one for my other sibling and one for my other sibling. And we all played with them. We all let it rip on the kitchen floor. The Beyblades, not like what other meanings you could infer from letting it rip. Anyways, Seaborg, I like him a lot. Has a genuinely special place in my heart. I've been your boy Cat is Life. There'll be another video essay here if you want to watch another one of my videos. I shall see you all in the comment section, and I shall see you all in the next video. Okay, bye.